This is the Chengyan Monastery in Carmel, New York, and this is the last evening of the retreat with Venerable Vimalaramsi. And the talk tonight is Metta in Daily Life, how to take your practice back into daily life. And it is November the 27th, 2007.
Before I start talking about metta in daily life, there's a question that's asked quite often about how do you know what kind of teacher that you need to practice with? And the Buddha happened to answer that. And he also answered what kind of training you should do, and what kind of exertion you should put into your practice. So I'm going to read these three very brief suttas. This is sutta number 82, a teacher, in the Samyutta Nikaya. At Savatthi, monks, one who does not know and see as it actually is, aging and death, its origin, its cessation, and the way leading to the cessation, should find a teacher in order to know this as it actually is. Now, for the first part, it says, you need to find someone who knows and sees as it actually is, aging and death. This is the first part of the Noble Truth. This is the first Noble Truth. Then it says its origin, that's the second Noble Truth. Then it says its cessation, that's the third Noble Truth. And the way leading to cessation is the fourth Noble Truth. Now, this occurs with every one of the links of dependent origination. So you have the Four Noble Truths mixed in with dependent origination. Monks, one who does not know and see as it actually is, birth, existence, clinging, craving, feeling, contact, the six sense bases, mentality, materiality, consciousness, formations, their origin, their cessation, and the way leading to the cessation, should search for a teacher in order to know this as it actually is. So right here he's telling you the kind of teacher that you need to look for. Someone who knows and sees dependent origination, who can tell you about dependent origination in practical terms. Then it says the training. Monks, one who does not know and see as it actually is, aging and death, their origin, cessation, and way leading to the cessation, and it goes through this whole list again, should practice the training in order to know it as it actually is. So it's saying right here that this is the way to practice. You practice by seeing how dependent origination actually works with your meditation and in daily life. How do you exert? Monks, one who does not know and see as it actually is, aging and death, and then it goes through the whole thing again. Birth, existence, clinging, craving, feeling, contact, the six sense bases, mentality, materiality, consciousness, formations, their origin, cessation, and way leading to their cessation, should arouse desire enthusiasm. Be unremitting, arouse ardor, apply energy, practice perseverance. I could change the word perseverance to patience. Practice mindfulness, practice clear comprehension, practice diligence in order to know it as it really is. This is where your insights are with dependent origination. So this gives you an idea of what the Buddha was actually talking about and what he was most interested in teaching. And he wanted all of the people that were teaching the Buddha's path to know and understand dependent origination and how it works, and how it arises, what's the origin of it, what's the cessation of it, and what's the way leading to the cessation. So you're going to be going off of retreat very soon. This is your last night. And another question that's asked quite often is, okay, we've been sitting here sending loving kindness to our spiritual friend and ourselves for the whole week. Now, what do we do when we get off retreat? You send loving kindness to everybody. Now, for the whole week, I've been drumming into you. You gotta smile. I want you to smile all the time. I want you to smile. I don't care how you feel. That was one of the observations that we had when somebody was writing to me about learning to smile. I told him he had to smile for a solid week. I didn't want him to practice meditation. And then when he started writing, he came back and I said, how's your mindfulness now? He said, it's really amazing. I can see my mind when it starts to get hard, and when I don't feel like smiling, I smile anyway, and my mindfulness picks up. Your definition of mindfulness, being remembering to observe how mind's attention moves from one thing to another. The more you cultivate your smiling with your daily activities, the more you will be able to experience joy. When you have joy in your mind is uplifted, your mind is very alert, and your mind is agile. So when your mind starts to get heavy, you can notice that. And then what? That's it. 6 hours. Recognize, release, relax, re-smile, return, repeat this whole thing, staying with your object of meditation. Now, what's your object of meditation with your daily life? Smiling. Practice your smiling. Give your smile away as much as you possibly can. Give it to other people. When they see you smiling, they will smile back. And how does that make them feel? Their mind is more alert, so you're helping them to have an uplifted mind. Now, when you get up, and how many people, at the start of the retreat, I said, I want you all to practice right before you go to sleep to make a determination that you wake up in the morning smiling with a happy mind. How many people did that? Wow, I'm impressed. I didn't think you paid attention. Now, keep that determination going. Make a determination that you're going to smile just as you wake up. And have a happy mind. And then keep that happy mind going. Then you go into the bathroom and you wash your face and brush your teeth and all of that sort of thing. Take care of your bodily needs. Keep smiling. Keep your mind light. Then you go and you gotta brush your teeth, right? At some point, some people brush their teeth as soon as they get up. Some people brush their teeth right after they eat their breakfast. You gotta smile anyway, right? So, put the smile in your mind. Put the smile in your heart. Then you do your sitting meditation. Do your sitting meditation in the morning, at least for 30 minutes. If you have time and the meditation is good, sit longer. But at least 30 minutes. Now this is 30 minutes without moving your body. Okay? I don't care if you sit in a chair, I don't care if you sit on the floor, it's up to you. But don't sit in too comfortable a chair. Or if you sit on the couch and it's real squishy and real comfy, that's a good way to go back to sleep. So pick a chair that's not overly soft. And don't lean heavily into it. You want to put your back so that it's nicely straight. Have fun with your meditation. It really is fun to wish your friend well and think kind thoughts to your friend. You can't be critical of yourself when you're following the Buddha's path. That's unwholesome. That's unwholesome thoughts. You want to be kind to yourself. Spend the first 10 minutes sending loving and kind thoughts to yourself. The rest of the time to your spiritual friend. Now you get up and you're done with your meditation and you keep your smile going and you walk out to the car and get in the car and drive to work. Now, the time that it took you to go from your front door to the car, what are you doing with your mind? Thinking this, thinking that, ho-hum, just more grist for the mill. Wish somebody happiness. You can wish all beings happiness. Keep your smile going. Get into the car. Don't focus on your spiritual friend. Your object of meditation now is smiling. And it's real easy to pay very good attention to your driving while you're smiling. Although people that might pass you think you're a little crazy because you're smiling. But that's okay. What happens when you get in a traffic jam? How many people really become angry? Oh, I gotta get to work, I don't like this, this is really not good. you're developing all of these unwholesome thoughts, all of these dissatisfactions. You're not smiling now, you're starting to worry because I'm going to be late. Okay? So where are you? Are you in the car sitting, being happy? Or are you projecting what's going to happen in the present moment, in the future moments? What happens when you start feeling like you're being pushed is you start leaning from the present moment a little bit into the present, into the future moment, to the next moment. And you're not completely here now. When you get into your worry, that's an unwholesome state. And whose worry is it? It's mine. I can't be late. Oh, I'll get in so much trouble. And on and on. And all of a sudden, you're not even close to the present moment anymore. Now you're 1,000 miles away, thinking about this and thinking about that, coming back to the worry, thinking about this, coming back to the worry, causing yourself all kinds of suffering. Don't do that to yourself. There's nothing out there that causes your suffering. You cause your own suffering. And when you use the 6 R's and come back into the present moment, if you haven't really let go of that worry, you're still going to be leaning and then your mind's going to go away again. So you use the 6 R's again. Take a look in the mirror. What's your face doing? Is it smiling? Gotcha. So you are caught in a traffic jam. Everybody else around you is stopped. Take a look at their faces. Where is their mind? What is their mind doing? You know very well because you just got through with that. Are they happy or are they suffering? Do you want to help them with their suffering? Smile. Radiate some happiness. Time goes by at the same speed whether you're suffering or whether you're happy, so you might as well be happy, right? You might as well smile into this. Now you get to work, and you get out of the car, and you walk into work. What are you doing with your mind? Oh, I'm thinking about all the things I gotta do when I get there. I. Why don't you start radiating loving kindness to everybody where you work? Smile. Give them that happy feeling. Walk into the door with a smile and happiness. Then you can help them have a good day. Be the example. Smile as often as you can remember to. And when you forget, you can't criticize yourself. Just start over again. This is a game, and you have to treat it like a game. And sometimes you're going to forget, and that's okay. It's not a problem to forget. What you want to do is remember. That's part of the mindfulness, isn't it? Remember to come back and watch how mind's attention is, what it's doing in the present moment. Somebody calls you on the telephone. I recommend very highly that you have a little mirror right by the phone, and it says smile on it. I'll tell you something that happened. I was in Washington, D.C., and there was a girl that she was working with Senator Lieberman when he was running for vice president. And what she did was put the makeup on before he went out. He was going to be having this big discussion with Dick Cheney. And she'd been practicing with me for a while, and I'd given her one of these mirrors that says smile on it. She carried it with her. And Joe Lieberman is very much worried and a lot of anxiety, and he's really nervous about what is he going to say and how is he going to say it. And she saw him, and she started telling him things that I told her about smiling and how much easier it is to let go of the restlessness and the worry. And he's kind of yeah. So she pulls out the mirror and she sticks it in front of his face, and she said, "You have to do what it says on the mirror." And he started smiling. And his mind let go of the restlessness and let go of the worry, and he had a good laugh. Now, he went out and had a debate with Dick Cheney. I don't follow politics and I don't watch TV, but from what she said, that was the best debate of the whole campaign, because they weren't fighting with each other. They were just talking about what their ideas were that needed to happen. And it was great. So I affected the world in a positive way, just because I told them they need to smile. And somebody took it seriously. Well, I ran out. I haven't got any right now. I'll get some, but you can do it for yourself. Nail polish works real good. Put smile on it. Now, you put this by the phone. Every time you talk on the phone, look in the mirror and start smiling. And as you're talking, you look occasionally to see whether you're smiling or not. And if you're not, then just start smiling again. The person on the other side of the line really likes that. And you start having more success with your business things because your mind is uplifted by smiling. Make the smile part of your daily activities. Give the smile away. Even through the phone line, the smile goes through, and the other person will start smiling. And you know what it feels like to stand in front of a mirror and smile for 5 minutes, right? How many people started laughing after they were there for a couple of minutes? It's great. There are going to be hindrances that arise in your daily activities. That's not a maybe, yeah, it's going to happen. Your mindfulness is going to slip and you're going to get caught. Anxiety, fear, depression, whatever the catch of the day happens to be. Anger. Now, please try to remember that when you laugh at being caught by this mental state, you're no longer caught by it. when you laugh, and it doesn't have to be a big laugh, and you don't even have to laugh out loud. But when you have your sense of humor about how crazy your mind is when a hindrance arises, that hindrance is where your ego identification is. I am that. I am this anxiety. I am this fear. I am this anger. When you have a chuckle about how you got caught by that, it goes from I am that to it's only this. It's only this anger. It's only this feeling. What's that? Relax. Smile. Have fun with life. I know this is really odd coming from a Buddhist monk. Have fun. Why? Look at what it does with your mind. I don't mean for you to have uncontrollable laughter and have tears coming down your face because something is funny. But what happens is you start to develop this little kind of chuckle. And with the chuckle, that helps change your perspective from I am that to it's only. What's the big deal about this? Let it go. So the hindrances they are going to arise. But on this retreat, I've worked real hard to show you that the hindrances are your friend, not your enemy. The hindrances are there to show you where your attachment is. So you can 6R with the hindrance. And every time you let go of the hindrance, you've let go of craving. When you let go of craving, there is no more clinging. There is no more nonsense stuff that pulls you further and further away from what you're doing in the present moment. When you let go of clinging, when you relax, and you start smiling into whatever there is in the present moment, you have a wholesome mind. And with that wholesome mind comes clarity. And then it's real easy to stay smiling and happy for periods of time that will get longer and longer as you practice. The Buddha said that meditation, there's 3 parts to meditation. First is practicing your generosity. Now, he said when you practice generosity, there's 3 parts to the generosity. When you're preparing a gift, prepare it with a happy mind. While you're giving the gift, give it with a happy mind. And after you've given the gift, reflect on having done something that's really nice with a happy mind. Now, how do we give? We can give with our speech, we can give with our actions, and we can give with our mind. When you're smiling, you're practicing your generosity. And you're helping other people around you, not just a little bit, a lot. say things that are kind to other people and you make them smile by saying it. That's a wonderful gift. You're practicing your generosity. Practice your generosity as much as you can during the day. If you're waiting in line at the grocery store and you see that the girl, the cashier, girl or guy, whichever it happens to be, the cashier, is having kind of a hard time and they're not smiling, then say something that will help them to find relief so they don't suffer so much. Say something that will help them to smile. Practice your generosity. Practice it often. Give your smile away as many times in the day as you possibly can. That's good generosity. And it's fun. Now, one of my favorite things to do is to be in a grocery store where there's a little kid sitting in the basket and they're grumpy, they're crying. I love to make them smile. And when I make them smile, Mother smiles. Well, all of a sudden, I'm a favorite of the mother. And it's fun. And some of the little children, they can do things that are just wonderful, and that makes me laugh. Practice your generosity. Keep it going as much as you can remember. Now, when you start making life a game, then it's easy to make games of your generosity. Be creative. Have that uplifted mind. That's what the Eightfold Path is all about. Having this uplifted mind. That leads to the cessation of suffering. Not only for you, but other people around you. The more creative you can be with your generosity, the more enthusiasm you have to share with other people. Now, one of the things that happens, especially on retreat, especially if you've been somewhat successful, you want to get off retreat and you want to tell everybody about this. And I suggest that you don't tell anybody. I suggest that you be the example. And when they come up and ask you, then you can give them some small things. Like say, oh, I just practiced smiling for a week. I just practiced being happy for a week. They'll see that your face is brilliant. They'll see that there's no tension in your face. They'll see that your face is glowing. And they want some of that. So you don't have to try to convince anybody of anything. All you have to do is be the example and smile. And they'll come and ask you more and more. Now, I had a lot of students in Malaysia, and some of the students, every time I gave a retreat, they came to the retreat. I have no idea how they did that with their work and family and all of that, but they figured it out. And after they got to a very nice stage in their meditation, they would go into work, and they would just do their work, and they would be happy. And then all of their workmates say, you're different. What are you doing that makes you so different now? You don't get upset so easy. You don't yell at people. You don't get angry at people. Now you have this smile on your face and everything is a lot easier. What are you doing? And then they would say, well, I practice meditation with this monk. Oh, well, the next time that happens, let me know. I want some of that too. See, that's a mistake that some of the religions make. They think that they have to go out and convince somebody that what they have is really good. I don't want you to convince anybody. I want you to be the example. Now, another part of the meditation is keeping your precepts. Now, tomorrow morning I'm going to give you 5 or maybe 6, I'm not sure, precepts. Okay, they're just basic suggestions that when you follow these, this leads to a happy, peaceful mind. Don't kill or harm anything. Don't take anything that's not given. Don't have any wrong sexual activity. Don't tell lies, even little tiny white lies, just to make somebody feel good. Don't use harsh speech. That means cursing. Don't take drugs and alcohol. When I was in Malaysia, I was giving this talk to somebody and they finally said, okay, you have me convinced. How long do I have to do this? So I said, well, we can start at 100 years and go up from there. Keeping your precepts and keeping them very closely is a general way of practicing your mindfulness, of watching what you do before you do it. And if you break a precept, it will affect your mind in such a way that hindrances will come up. And then you have to work with that. It causes remorse to come up. You say something that you know is not true. Your mind says right then, very quietly, I shouldn't have said that. I know it's not true. But then you kind of shine it on and say, never mind. Go on about your daily activities, and then a hindrance comes along and knocks you off balance for a while. That is directly because you broke the precept. So what do you do if you accidentally break a precept? Right then, you stop what you're doing, you go out by yourself, take the precepts again. I undertake to keep the precept not to kill or harm living beings, not to take what's not given, not to have wrong sexual activity, not to tell lies and harsh speech, not to take drugs and alcohol. And then make the determination in your mind that you're not going to break the precepts again. But you got to forgive yourself. One of the beauties about Buddhism is that we don't really like to hang on with guilt. That's for other religions. So, forgive yourself for making a mistake. Forgive yourself for not being perfect at this. Take the precepts again with the clear mind that now I'm not going to break the precept again. I highly recommend that every morning you take the 5 precepts. just by yourself if you want to. It's up to you. It's not a rite and ritual. You're taking the precepts as the reminder for the day not to break the precepts. It makes it a conscious effort. Now, when you practice keeping the precept over a period of time, and then you sit and you start doing your meditation, you will not have so many hindrances arise. They still will come up a bit. Now, you remember the story that I told you a while back. I had a student in Malaysia. She had never meditated before. She kept the precepts closely her whole life. She wouldn't even consider saying something that wasn't true. She spent her time helping other people, being generous with material things. And then she came and she said, I've heard about your meditation. I want to learn it. She'd never meditated before. She came to a retreat. The first day of the retreat, I gave the instructions. After lunch, I came up to her and I said, how's your meditation going? And she said, I understand the instructions, but I can only sit for 45 minutes. Only is the clue. So I said, why not? Why don't you sit longer? She said, I'm not used to sitting on the floor, and my knees are killing me, and I can only stand it for 45 minutes. So I said, well, there's no real magic on the floor. Sit in a chair, just don't lean into the chair. Her next sitting was 4 hours. She got into the first jhana, the first day she ever practiced meditation. That's pretty impressive. So much so I wanted to go up to her, hit her in the back of the head and say, nobody's supposed to be that good. In the weekend, she really progressed quickly. Why? She didn't have a guilty mind. She didn't have remorse of her actions. She'd already been practicing a general form of mindfulness her whole life. And that's one of the things it says in the suttas. When you keep you keep your precepts very closely, your mind will become peaceful and calm very quickly. So it's your choice. I mean, do you want to keep your precepts or not? Well, I'll keep all of them but this one. Well, you can do that, but don't look forward to having great meditation. That's part of meditation. It's part of living, making the conscious decision to keep the precepts no matter what. I had some students that their job was being a salesman. And they said, well, there's times when I have to say things that aren't true. And I said, why? Well, then I wouldn't sell this if I said that. If I said something that's not true, I could sell it. If I don't say it, they won't buy it. And I said, that's a real short-term advantage that you think that you have. But when they find out that you didn't tell them the truth, do you think you're going to be able to sell to them again anytime soon? When you start to get the reputation as a salesman of being honest, that will precede you, and people will trust you. So it's your choice. Now, I also had some students people. And they said, I want to practice the Buddha's path, and I want to get rich. What's the fastest way to get rich? So what's the answer to that? Practice your generosity, keep your precepts, develop your mind so that you have a happy mind. Then you're rich, whether you have a lot of material things or not. You will have more and more friends who honestly trust you and your judgment, and isn't that being rich? Keeping the precepts is a very necessary part of your meditation. Learning how to let go of the hindrances when they arise, so they don't knock you over for as long a period of time. Now, I told you that there was a lady that she came into the monastery I was staying at. As soon as she walked in the door, I wanted to walk out the back door. I mean, she had a cloud of negativity around her. But she came to talk with me. So I had to be there. So she comes up and she said, I have 3 children. I'm living with my husband. My husband is so angry with me that he said, I'm never going to talk to you again. And he doesn't. And it made her mad. And I said, well, how long, when you get angry, how long do you stay angry when he does something that you don't like? And she said, a couple of weeks anyway. Oh, wow, who wants to live with somebody like that? And hold a grudge for 2 weeks? Make your life miserable for 2 weeks because you do something that somebody else doesn't like? That's tough. She said, I want to do something so I don't have these problems. The anger is just tearing me up. My body feels bad. I don't eat. I don't sleep very well. What can I do? So I told her how to practice loving kindness meditation. But she could only practice for about 20 minutes a day because she had 3 kids. She was real active, and they were from, I think, 5 years up to teenage. So she was taking them every place and taking care of them and taking care of the house and that sort of thing. So she was real busy. So she got up an extra half an hour early before the kids got up so that she could sit in meditation. She went from her husband doing something that really got her mad. She went from being angry for 2 weeks to being angry for 10 days. Now, that's a major improvement, not bad. As she continued doing that and coming and talking to me, and I kept on telling her that she has to learn to smile more and be happy. Over a period of time, she went from being angry for 10 days to angry for 7 days. And then angry for 5 days. And then angry for 2 days. And then angry for a few hours. After a long period of time, because she could only do this meditation short period of time every day, her personality development was such that he would do something and she would stay angry for 2 or 3 minutes and then see the pain she was causing herself and let it go. She learned how to relax into it. She learned how to smile into it. For instance, she with her husband. They went to a store. He drove her to the store, stopped. She said, "This will not take me any more than 5 minutes. Please wait." She walked in the store. He drove away. She came out 5 minutes later. Where'd he go? And she saw this anger starting to come up, and she went, "Well, you know, it's a beautiful day. I might as well walk." So she walked home. And she had fun walking home. She wasn't holding on to the grudge. She wasn't even thinking about him anymore. She was in the present moment. She was enjoying the walk. She saw birds that she hadn't seen for a while. She saw new flowers. This is a gradual training, and it is a personality development. If you hold on to certain ideas about this is who I am and this is the way I'm going to act always, you can look forward to a lot of suffering. If you're willing to change, if you're willing to let go of your hindrances and attachments and concepts of the way you think the world is, in other words, you let go of your craving, you'll start to see wonderful things happening all around you. You'll start to see how your mind is uplifted all the time. You'll start to have more and more joy in your life. Now, an interesting thing with joy is it is the middle factor of the enlightenment factors. It's the balancing factor. Isn't that interesting? What are the enlightenment factors? Mindfulness enlightenment factor. Remembering to observe how mind's attention moves. Investigation of your experience. Let go of the distraction. Relax. Smile. Come back to the present moment. Smile. How did your mind go from smiling to this hindrance? It didn't all of a sudden just jump there. From what we've learned from dependent origination, there's a lot of little steps that happen before your mind got distracted. As you investigate how that happened, you start seeing that right before your mind really got carried away for a period of time, there was something else that was there. And then you start letting go when that arises. So you're starting to investigate. As you investigate how mind's attention moves, you start having more energy and enthusiasm in doing the practice. Every time you let go of a hindrance, there's a feeling of relief. Why do you have a feeling of relief? Because you've let go of the false idea that that hindrance is yours. Your mind has relief in it, joy arises. Why? Because that enlightenment factor, although it's different than being in the drama, this enlightenment factor is not the excited, real, over-happy kind of joy. This is a more peaceful kind of joy. When you go deep enough in your meditation, this kind of joy will arise. And when this arises, it's called all-pervading joy. It's like taking a pitcher of water and just filling it up, filling this cup up, and it's overrunning. There's not one part of the cup that doesn't have water touching it. This kind of joy is like that. Every cell in your body feels this joy. It's really nice, but it doesn't have the excitement of the lower jhanas. This enlightenment factor of joy helps you to see with clarity what's happening in the present moment. And if a disturbance starts to arise, you'll recognize it. You can let it go before it comes all the way up to the surface. It takes practice. This is a gradual training. It's not going to happen to you after 1 week of retreat. But you have the tools now so that you can practice when you go home. Right after joy, when that feeling fades away, you feel very, very strong tranquility. Very peaceful. You feel your mind is very collected and unified. It stays on your object of meditation easily. You see your mind has this very strong balance in it. That's the 7 factors of enlightenment. It's something that everybody can experience if they practice. Practice what? Smiling. And your 6 R's. Easy, right? Except when you forget. And you're going to. I promise you, you will forget. And that's okay to forget. But when you remember, don't keep staying involved with the hindrance. Let go of that. Relax, smile, and continue smiling. Then your mind starts to have this sense of balance and clarity that you've never run across before. You start looking at all kinds of different things and you start really seeing them. You see flowers, you see the colors, it's wonderful. They keep your attention for a moment, then there's something else. You don't get caught by the clinging when you look at a flower, which means thinking about. You see it for what it is. It's very beautiful, it's very wonderful. Okay. What else is next? I'm ready. This is what the Buddha's path is all about. It's about the personality development so that you can be happy all the time. When you go to Asia, they're a lot happier than we are. Even though, say, in Burma, they have this government that's really horrid, but they can still get together and they can smile and they can laugh. They've been practicing this for thousands of years. So, let's start one smile at a time. And build on that as much as you can. That leads to clarity. That leads to true mindfulness. That leads to your being able to see how dependent origination arises all the time. It's not maybe. It takes practice, but the practice is fun. And the more you start to see, the more enthusiasm you have. want to see. And that really gets fun. I've been practicing this for over 30 years, and I've never been bored. And I'm always seeing new things in new ways. I'm getting insights that are truly remarkable. It doesn't matter whether I'm sitting in meditation or doing something else. Insights will come. And the insights are always how this process works. It's really good. When you are dealing with your family, the more laughter and the more fun you have with your family, the more they will appreciate how your mind is changing. And they'll start to see this balance that comes in. It's kind of like I told you, we were parked in a parking lot, somebody ran into the truck. Bent up. There's no getting around it. And we walked out and we looked and we went, look at that. Isn't that something? We didn't get angry. Now this is Kema and I. We didn't get angry. We didn't get upset. We didn't worry about how to fix it. Okay, let's get in the car and go. That's when we were coming here. It was more important to be here than to worry about that. It'll get fixed. But we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to get angry because this happened. It just happened. That's the way it works sometimes. So you repair what needs to be repaired and continue on. But what happens if you buy a brand new car and you let your neighbor drive it? And he comes back with a scratch all the way along the side. What does that do to your mind? Do you have equanimity in your mind? I don't think so. But when you practice, you stop having these emotional swings. I like it, I don't like it. I like it, I don't like it. This is one of the reasons why you have to have so much sleep during the day, or during the night as the case may be. I have to have 8 hours or else I'm not worth anything. Why? Because I spend my whole day liking and disliking, liking and disliking. As you keep on this path and you smile into things and you start to have fun with things, you will naturally need less sleep. I'm not telling you to stop taking so much sleep. It will happen all by itself. You're just not as tired. And your day seems to be filled with all kinds of more interesting things when you have balance in your mind. People become angry. That's their anger. I don't have to take it. I don't have to make it mine. I can love them. That's the way you want to practice your daily activities. Love everybody that you see. And I'm not talking about sensual love. I'm talking about unconditioned love. Just wish them well. This is something that everybody wants. And they can't get enough of it. So give it to them as much as you can. practice. And with that practice, what happens to your mind? You start getting more balance. You start seeing when you get knocked off balance and you're not caught for as long. When, this was years ago, I think it was 1976, Munindra came to America. Munindra was Joseph Goldstein's teacher in India. He was a little Indian man, about 4 feet 11, had an ice cream cap. He had a white cap, shaved his head, wore white robes. He came and he gave a 1-month Vipassana retreat. After that, everybody left, and he decided he was going to give the staff, of which I was part, a 2-week Metta retreat. So we did a 2-week Metta retreat with him. And some of the things he kept saying over and over again was how it affects the world around you. So after we did that, I decided that I wanted to test this on my own. So I went into a huge shopping mall. I mean, it was like a Saturday. It was crowded. And I walked around with a grumpy face. Everybody I saw, I just frowned. And everybody was giving me the same kind of face back. So I thought, okay, we know that part works. So I sat down on a bench. I closed my eyes. I started smiling and just started radiating happy feelings to everybody around me. And I started feeling eyes looking at me. You know how that happens? So I thought, there's something happening. I gotta find out what it is. And I opened up my eyes, and there was 10 or 12 complete strangers smiling with me. And I thought, okay, this stuff really works. Don't believe me, try it yourself. When I was in Thailand, I was on a bus. And I thought, well, there's an awful lot of people and they're kind of all doing whatever they're doing while they're riding on the bus. Why don't I radiate some loving kindness to them? So I started radiating loving kindness, and everybody on the bus turned around and started looking at me. And the guy that was driving the bus was looking in the rearview mirror while I was driving, and then I thought, this is not a good thing, so I think I'll stop. I wanted him to pay attention to driving, not watch me while I was radiating loving kindness. It's amazing to see how this stuff works. Experiment with it. Try it in all different ways. Animals love this stuff. I was at a monastery one time, and they had a dog, and I truly love dogs. And I bent down and I touched it, and it turned around and started snapping at me. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. So I radiated some loving kindness to it because I knew that it was suffering. And then went on and did whatever I was going to do. Now, these monks were showing me around, and we had to go through this very narrow place where there were some fairly good-sized rocks, about as tall as this table. And as we're going through this narrow little place, this dog runs and he jumps and he gets on the rock. And as I walked by, the dog started licking my hand. Isn't that amazing? What happened? What's the difference? It went from being shocked and trying to bite me to licking my hand, just because I radiated loving kindness. experienced. I had compassion for that being because he was suffering. It happens with all kinds of animals. It happens with all kinds of people. You know, when you get into this meditation, you go to sleep very easily, very quickly. I always sleep on my right side. Always. I can read a book and say, okay, put it down, get on my right side. I toss and turn for a good 2-3 seconds before I'm asleep. When I sleep very soundly. I don't wake up tossing and turning. I don't wake up during the night. When I wake up in the morning, my mind's alert. I don't fumble around and mumble and bump into things. No, I'm alert. I'm awake. Okay, I'm ready. And I'm smiling because I'm happy to get up. These are some of the advantages of practicing this meditation. There are a lot of other advantages, like your face becomes very beautiful when you're smiling. If you don't believe it, carry that mirror around and wait till you get in a fight with somebody. And then pull the mirror out and see what your face looks like. It's ugly. So there's all of these different advantages for practicing smiling. And they all lead to wholesome states, uplifted states. And that leads directly to clarity, and your observation power becomes much greater, and you start seeing how dependent origination works with everything. And that's what the Buddha suggested that we learn. How do we learn it? By being observant. By seeing it in everything. You become more content. Material things, yeah, okay. You know what's happened in this country since I've been back? I left for 12 years, I came back. I started noticing that just about everybody likes to go to the store and buy something new. And they're buying this junk that falls apart after using it once or twice. So then they can go to the store and buy something else new. What are they doing when they do that? They're trying to gain a little bit of happiness. It's very fleeting. It doesn't last. Smiling lasts a lot longer. They're trying to distract themselves away from the suffering that they're having, rather than look at the suffering, see how it arises, and let it go. It's much easier to go to the store and buy this cheap little thing, and then I can be happy for 2 or 3 minutes. You become content. What does content mean? When you look it up in the dictionary, what does content mean? I did that one time. It means you're happy. Isn't that something? You're happy with your situation, you're happy in the present moment. The more you smile into things, the less pain there is. When I was in Malaysia, we used to have this newspaper that every Wednesday they printed a section in the middle of the newspaper that was only positive news. It was great stuff. And they had a lot of articles, scientific articles, on what happens in your body when you laugh. How healthy is that for you? It's amazing. It affects your whole body in a very positive way. Now, at one point, I used to do a lot of carpentry. That means hammer and nails. And sometimes my mindfulness wasn't as good as it could have been, and I'd hit my thumb. Now, when that happened before I started any kind of mental development, I used to get really angry, and I used to hate that feeling, and boy, it would really throb and it would really hurt. Then I found out through some mental training that if I had a pain arise in my body, and I started smiling into that pain and loving that place where the pain is, that the pain didn't last for so long. And it's amazing. After a while, I'd hit my thumb and I'd go, oh, okay. Now I'm back to work doing whatever I'm doing. And a few hours later, I look at my finger, and there's this great big blue thing under my fingernail. Whoa, look at that. How'd that happen? Oh, I remember I hit it. Now what happens if you have aversion to a pain arise in your mind? It shuts down the blood vessels in your brain because the aversion causes you to contract, right? And that shuts down the pineal gland where the endorphins are stored. And the endorphins are your body painkiller, your natural painkiller. It's about 10 times stronger than morphine. So you have dislike, you have dissatisfaction, then that pain doesn't go away. And it will stay there for a long period of time. I can remember hitting my thumb and not being able to use that thumb for a week and a half or so, because it was just too tender. But when I started putting love into that, what am I doing? I'm relaxing my mind. And when I relax my mind, the blood vessels start flowing very nicely. The endorphins come out into my body, and that's the natural painkiller. So in a few minutes, there's no pain. Every time you have pain arise in your body, I don't care what kind of pain it is, your body is telling you, right then, right there, you need to love me. You need to send acceptance and love into that sensation. Then the painkiller starts coming in, the natural painkiller. And then it becomes bearable. And then before long you even forget about it. Because it doesn't hurt anymore. They found this out when there were a lot of people were skiing. And somebody would fall down and they would hurt their ankle. But they were having so much fun that they'd get up and they'd go ski some more. And at the end of the day, they sit down and they look at their ankle and it's huge. When did that happen? Oh, I fell on it, didn't I? But they walk without even a limp after spraining their ankle. And this is pretty amazing stuff. The more love you can put into negative things, the easier it is to let go of those negative things. We read this every day. Hatred can never be overcome by hatred in this world. Hatred can only be overcome by love. I like to change that sometimes and say aversion can never be overcome by aversion. Aversion can only be overcome by loving acceptance. The more you put love into the pain, the less the pain hurts. Now, it's not necessarily going to make the pain go away, but it's going to make it much more bearable. I mean, I have done some weird things with nail guns. I've nailed my fingers to the boards and that sort of thing. And it was painful, and I had to pull it out somehow, and there's this hole in my finger. And there was pain, and then it was okay for it to be there. Now, I'll give you another for instance. See that silver tooth? Okay, I was in Burma, and the dentist said he was going to clean my teeth. He was going to do me a favor by cleaning my teeth, and he broke it. Now, he said, well, we're going to have to do a root canal. Now, in Burma, they don't clean their utensils. They work on your teeth, they work on your teeth, they don't wash it in between the times, and then they come and they work on my teeth. So I'm saying, I don't want any aids, thank you. I don't want you messing around with any needles in this mouth. And I made sure that he boiled everything before he used it, but I said, go ahead and drill. I don't need any painkiller. Have you ever had a root canal? You know how it feels? Try it without painkiller sometimes. So he was drilling along, and all of a sudden he hit this place, and I jumped out of the seat about 4 inches without moving. And I see that my hands are really tight on the handles, you know. And all of my muscles in my shoulders and my back and my buttocks and my legs, they're all tight like a rock. And I looked at that and I went, well, that's interesting. So I started going around and relaxing everything. And then we hit another spot. Oh, look at that. I'm doing it again. So I made it my meditation to relax into whatever sensation it was. And I even had time to send loving and kind thoughts to the person that was causing me the pain. Now he drilled for what seemed like hours, but it was only about 15 or 20 minutes. And when he stopped, my mind was clear. I wasn't holding on to the dislike of the pain. I kept letting that pain go. I kept relaxing all of the pain in my body, in my mind, and I was focusing on loving kindness. As soon as he stopped, I was happy. I wasn't happy because he stopped, necessarily, but I was happy for a good day and a half after that. My mind was bright, my mind was super alert, because I didn't fight whatever arose in the present moment. I was putting love into it as much as I could. And as I got better at doing it, I started gaining more balance of mind. You want to see how good your mindfulness is? Try it. when you're doing any task and you're not really thinking about it, that's when accidents occur. As you smile, you become more in the present moment. You start doing things and you do them very well. You become very efficient with what you're doing in the present moment, especially when you don't have any resistance to what you're doing in the present moment. I gotta wash the dishes. How much do I like doing that? No. But you gotta do it anyway, so you try to do it as fast as you can, and then you wind up dropping things and breaking things. But let's take a look at that, the dislike of washing dishes. Who doesn't like it? Who doesn't want to do it? Who's leaning out of the present moment for the next moment so you won't have to be in this moment doing this because I don't want to do it? See, when you have your hindrance and you lovingly accept the fact that it's there, you let go of that tight mental fist around that dislike, and then you relax. Now you smile. And washing the dishes isn't so bad after all. And you don't break things. And you become very efficient at doing it. When you have aversion in your mind, you're not very efficient. One of the things that's truly amazing is, you know, those kind of days when you've got 25 things to do and you've only got 20 minutes to do it, and you start doing this and then you think, oh my God, I forgot this thing over here, and you leave that alone and you come over here and you do, oh, then there's, I gotta go do that. Okay, that's the time when you need to sit down and not move. And start practicing your loving kindness and let go of that restless feeling. When you let go of the restless feeling, then you get up and you do this, done. This, done. And you wind up getting everything done because you're not thinking about the next moment. You're only being right here with what you're doing. You become super efficient. You get each one of those tasks done, you still have a few minutes left over. Or you can not do that and wind up with a lot of problems that need to be solved and need to be taken care of. It's your choice. You see what the hindrances do to you. Let go of the hindrances. When you let go of the hindrances, you relax into it, you smile into it, you start becoming more efficient. Now, another thing that you can do with the loving kindness is if you have a meeting with your boss, or you have a meeting that's rather important to you, and you start worrying about it, then stop for a few minutes and start radiating loving kindness into the meeting. Radiate loving kindness into the people that you're going to be talking to. Radiate loving kindness into yourself. And then let it go. Relax. Now go into the meeting and watch how much more efficient you are when you do that. And again, it's your choice. You can start worrying about this and whether I'm going to say this or that to this person, and you can plan it all out, and it doesn't ever even come close to what you've planned, which means that that was a waste of time. The more you can focus on putting love in the situation, the easier I was telling some guys today that because I had a construction company, sometimes I got jobs to do that nobody else wanted to do, and I had to do it, and it had to do with plumbing. And I really don't care for plumbing very much, because I have a big body, and everything that has to do with plumbing is down there. And there's only this much space to work in. So it's not an easy thing for me. So I have to screw this thing on here, and I can't get it lined up right, and I'm doing it over and over again. Oh man, I can't do this. I can't see to do it. When I see that my mind has this hindrance of dissatisfaction in it, what do? I stop what I'm doing. 5 minutes. Radiate loving kindness, peaceful and calm. Send love to myself, send love to that little thing that won't fit. And then go up and look at it and go, done. You can use loving kindness in anything. You can use loving kindness in any situation. The trick is to remember to do it. Now, I promise that you're going to go periods of time, hours and hours and hours, where you forgot. But every time you remember, it gets easier to remember, because everything levels out, everything smooths out. All of the worries and anxieties seem to dissolve by themselves. So, loving kindness is not just what we would call a sitting meditation. All life is meditation. All meditation is a part of life. Practice with enthusiasm, having fun. And you will see how you start to change your personality. Things that used to get you angry, they don't bother you so much anymore. You start becoming more efficient with what you're doing in the present moment, and that's fun in itself. And you start appreciating. Now, how do you know when you're advancing spiritually? By your sense of humor. You start laughing with things, not at them. You know how almost all jokes are laughing at somebody or laughing at pain. When you start developing your sense of humor, all of a sudden you start laughing with everything. But it's not big belly laughs, it's little ones. I got done with an 8-month retreat. Somebody said they were going to take me from one place to another in Malaysia. So I'm sitting in the car and I'm looking out the window and I'm kind of giggling at everything that I see. And they said, "What are you laughing at?" I said, "Oh, was I laughing?" I said, "Yeah." "Why are you laughing?" "Because I'm happy." No other reason, just because I'm happy. And before long, they were starting to see things in a fun way too. You see two birds and they're doing their little dance. Great stuff. That's what the Buddha's path is for. Have this uplifted mind. Practice it as much as you can remember. Can't criticize yourself when you forget. Just start over again. That's why it turns into a game. It's okay to start over again. Nobody's going to grade you. But you'll notice in yourself, and other people will start to notice in you how your mind has good balance in it, how your mind is uplifted, how your face has a smile on it. And they want some. Radiate loving kindness to everybody you see. Now, when you're radiating loving kindness, don't look people in the eye, especially opposite sex. You know what I mean? You can radiate loving kindness whether you're looking at them or not. Just don't look them in the eye because that is misunderstood. Unless you're really interested in it. I'm only kidding. Okay, so this is in that last night of the retreat. Does anybody have any questions about their practice? Any questions at all? What a teacher, huh? Made it so clear that nobody has any questions at all. Wow. Okay.
Like in my apartments, there always a spider. So if I take the precept, no killing, so how should I deal with those spiders?
You take a cup,
No.
you take an envelope, put it over the top of them, you put the envelope over it, you take them outside, you let them go outside. What you ask?
Actually, Sue, one of the ladies in the United Kingdom has been collecting from all over the world, from people who are on our list, the ways not to kill other living beings, like you're talking about. And some of the stuff, we just got it, she just sent it to me, and we're going to get it up on the website. So you ought to kind of watch for that, because it's cute. Some of the things, solutions for spiders and ants and crawlies and this and that and the other. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Instead of a cup, you can take a glass. You can even
Well,
see
whatever.
what's happening inside. I use
Or-
the jelly jar.
But look at your mind and what you just did with it.
Are you smiling?
That little beastie is not going to hurt you.
Yeah. But
So, treat him with compassion and let him go outside.
but I tell them not to come inside.
Excuse me, what was it?
She tells him not to come inside. You haven't used the right kind of language because
What is it?
spider. You have aversion in your mind when you're telling them, I don't want you inside. You're not giving them love, you're giving them aversion. I mean, talk to another person with aversion and see how much they pay attention to what you say. Why do you think an animal is going to be any different? And why do you have to make it go outside? It's not going to bother you. No, it's because I don't like. I don't like.
It's a great way when the crawlies come around. It's a wonderful way to discover the I is there. Because it pops right up when you're in a cabinet and says, I don't like this.
no screens on the window. And every year there would be a lot of wasps come in and lay their eggs inside the trailer. And I would be paying attention to the computer, writing this, writing that, and she would walk in and she would look up and there'd be 75 wasps on the ceiling. So she walked out, and I looked up and I went, oh, okay. And I went back to work. I don't care if they're there. They're not going to bother me.
Really took me over a year to go in the trailer to get something from him and not emanate fear. Not at all, because I don't like to get stung.
Well, I'm not wild about getting stung, I'll say that, but I certainly, I talk to them nicely.
Yeah.
I let them know that they can be there as long as they want, as long as they don't bother me. And they don't. Most of them just want to go outside anyway, so sometimes I'll catch them and say, okay, go outside. And they're happy when they get outside. But I don't get stung by them. It's okay for them to be there. That is practicing compassion, isn't it? Or would you rather practice your hatred, your dislike, your fear, your anxiety about it? Look at how these states cause dissatisfaction to arise in you, how pain arises in you. It's your choice to either keep it or let it go.
But can I just use a vacuum, just vacuum
No.
away?
Kills them. Don't do that. I don't know of anybody's house that doesn't have spiders in it. And most people, they're not even troubled by it. They get up in the ceiling, you can't hardly see them. So why bother with it? Every now and then you can sweep the ceiling and get rid of the cobwebs. It doesn't matter. It only matters if you make it matter. And if you make it matter, who doesn't like that situation? Who is causing